In terms of adoption around the world, there's a scale of urgency. The inherent fraudulent models that run these big banks come under the weight of its own fraud, and they're all collapsing. And we're at the end game of the 300-year experiment of central banks. So now it's Bitcoin's time.
Today, Max Keiser gives his prediction and update for Bitcoin, and why the crypto market is in for a massive shock in the first part of 2025. Keiser points out that because fiat currencies globally are being devalued at an unprecedented rate, everything will eventually be priced in Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency's value seems unparalleled, leading to all other assets ultimately trending towards zero when compared to Bitcoin. Keiser has even tipped his hat to Michael Saylor, who, like him, believes Bitcoin is the future of all money. Introducing Bitcoin to large pools of capital have proven pivotal, especially in the context of anticipated inflation and economic disruptions. Many institutions, including major players like BlackRock, are now turning their attention to Bitcoin, confirming Saylor's foresight. He says things are now getting serious, as we're expecting a major crypto announcement that's only days away. Let's get right into the interview with Max Keiser, as he discusses the future of Bitcoin, the crypto market, and what to expect in the coming months. Don't forget to share your thoughts and comments down below, and leave a like if you enjoy the content we do here.
Crypto is just reinventing fiat money, and that's that term, coins. And the CBDC is a coin, they're reinventing fiat money. All derivatives based on coinery are just fiat money, centralized, and not worthy to have a discussion point. As these fiat money currencies around the world collapse in real time, and as these central banks are now exposed as having nothing on their balance sheet, people are realizing that super hyper-Bitcoinization is the way to fight super high hyperinflation. So we're at the end game of the 300-year experiment of central banks. The inherent fraudulent models that run these big banks come under the weight of its own fraud, and they're all collapsing. And so now it's Bitcoin's time. Those who are not getting into Bitcoin now, it's because their DNA was not meant to survive. In terms of adoption around the world, there's a scale of urgency. And countries like Lebanon, obviously, with the central bank collapse, there's an urgency for Bitcoin. And the people who had Bitcoin survived. And this is playing out globally. Here in the United States, there's less urgency because we are the empire. We are the world reserve currency for the moment, but that'll be changing very quickly. The number of people joining BRICS is vastly faster than the number of people who want to join NATO. So we're entering into a BRICS versus NATO global bifurcated financial world, and the global south is skewing toward perfect money, that is Bitcoin. So the Central American region will be hyper-Bitcoinized, and then of course Africa is going the way of Bitcoin for the same reason, because they've been left out of the 20th century telecommunications revolution that occurred, but they're going to leapfrog into the 21st century revolution with Bitcoin. The playbook essentially is making Bitcoin legal tender. Then securities laws were introduced that would support Bitcoin as money, and everything else would be considered a security. So here in the United States, this is still a vague and gray area that's battling every day with the SEC and Gary Gensler. Only Bitcoin is money and everything else is a security. Then there's a new regulatory commission to help enforce those laws. So there's institutionally and structurally, there's now a playbook. And you too can have an economy that's growing strongly, and it's going to be probably the fastest growing economy in the world at this time next year. So if you let coins in, prepare for a lot of pain and misery. No, this is the fun part. Yeah. We put in all the work, and now this is the fun part, to really enjoy the fruits of the labor. So,
getting wrecked is a good way to learn. It's happened to many of us. Corporations, I think, you have shareholders and stuff like that, and maybe it's not as, you have to be a bit more responsible about getting wrecked and you can't be a degenerate corporation and last very long. The same especially with a nation state. If you have a bunch of Bitcoiners there, where do they want to be but wrecked, right? Yep. So you don't want a wrecked nation because it's not a good place to be. We have the best and the brightest coming there. We have the best Bitcoin companies there. So That's it. We have the market. Bitcoin is hard and it's hard work. And you're seeing the results today as all these companies like the likes of Jack Mallers and Folder, but it took a lot of work to get to that point. So these other nations are 2 years behind us. And I don't think they understand how much hard work it is because he makes it look easy. Bitcoin makes it look easy, and that's why there's 25,000 coins, because they think it's just easy. You just invent a blockchain, cryptography, like you use the same words, and that's the magic. It's hard work.
No,
it's not just magic.
Embracing an unyielding enthusiasm for the crypto realm, Keiser confidently predicts that explosive growth is looming on the horizon, as BlackRock and many other crypto giants are doing just that. Keiser reassures that a long-expected surge awaits as we head into a bull run in 2025, as we witness one of the biggest price rises so far since the creation of the dominant cryptocurrency. The story has become even bigger because of the Bitcoin ETFs, with thousands of institutional investors across the United States now buying Bitcoin. The demand for the leading digital asset has increased exponentially. Everything is about to change.
The Bank of England is the source of all fiat money nightmares going back to the 1690s. And they are the mother river, the mother source of all the fiat money catastrophes that we've had. The Bank of England is kind of the source of all the troubles in the fiat money world.
It was historic. In modern records, this does not exist. Even when George Soros broke the Bank of England, it didn't drop like this. And here you see the plunging pound on coming into Monday morning as markets were opening. And of course, the thing about him burning Bank of England like that is that stiff upper-lipped, academic, sort of elitist thing that voters continuously reject, whether it's in Brexit, whether it's MAGA, whether it's Italy, whether it's the total support here for Najib Bukele's re-election campaign. What they're saying is they're sick of these people who have ruled over the world, the elite institutions, the academics, the think tanks, all the media that presided over this disaster that left us so fragile. The plunging pound like that is a sign of fragility. It's a sign that it's all a mirage and it's all could disappear like that. So there was another tweet that happened, and that was with Safedina Moose, who was pointing out that Paul Krugman, of course, Nobel economist, right? The sort of guy we're told over and over to listen to him because he's an expert, even though we, the people, can point to when he got it horribly, embarrassingly wrong about the internet, when he said the internet would just be a fad, it would be no more important than the facts. And then Safedina Moose, he tweeted a reminder from just 2 days before the pound plunged. Just 2 days before, he tweeted, quoting Paul Krugman, he said, "I did invent the academic field." And he was referring to Paul Krugman's tweet. But back to sterling, pound sterling, the British pound, I'm supposed to know something about currency crisis. I did invent the academic field. And as far as I know, there are two ways a country with a floating exchange rate can have a currency crisis, neither of which seems to apply to the UK. So the experts said what happened coming into the beginning of this week, yesterday, Monday morning, was not supposed to happen because they could print money as they wish.
Right. This is a recurring theme. Paul Krugman we've visited his career many times. He's been dead wrong, always. He espouses a Keynesian economics model that has as much a failure as communism or socialism has been a failure. And all the academics, the Steve Henke, I think his name is, he's been spouting falsehoods now for years. And why does this all happen? Why do we have a government and a central bank that seems to relish being wrong and causing untold misery? Because whenever they make a mistake, they can print money to cover it. Everybody else who's not printing money for themselves has to work for a living. And if you work and you make a living and you have a family, and then you watch politicians, you watch Paul Krugman, you watch Steve Henke, you watch the Jay Powell, you watch the Bank of England. I mean, England's not even, it's not even anywhere near a democracy. It's an outright autocratic supreme ruled by a monarch. They just print money That's all they do. When they make a mistake, they print money to cover the mistake. And that's what Bitcoin fixes.
He gives warning to the coming financial and monetary collapse and the disintegration of the concept of truth. Keiser also talks about the collapse we're starting to see due to higher interest rates and the separation of money from reality. He believes that the more money that's printed along with the government's quantitative easing has resulted in complete malinvestment, an increase in wealth and income gap, and massive inflation. Keiser argues that while Americans may have benefited initially from the money printing, the rest of the world did not. Max believes banks are attempting to achieve interest rate neutrality without completely destroying the world economy. He suggests keeping all of your Bitcoin since it has actual value and can't be destroyed by money printers in the future. Wall Street and Silicon Valley are not doing what the early Bitcoin investors were doing in 2017. The next few months will determine how it will bounce back, which has seen around $500 billion wiped off its value in the past month. Most agree that Bitcoin will survive this cycle, but this is eerily similar to the dot-com bubble of the early 2000s. While most major cryptos are spending much of the day in the red, ongoing investor fears about inflation grows as central banks tighten monetary policy. What do you think about Max Keiser's prediction for Bitcoin and how the decline of the US dollar will affect most countries in the world? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.